The topic today is why I stayed in a bad relationship for so long. And I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I found three legit reasons. Probably there's more, but these are the three main. The first reason was financial stability. I needed to stay, or I felt like I needed to stay in that bad relationship because I was not financially stable myself. I depended on this person for financial, for my finances, for my bills. I depended on him. One bad thing, one bad move of mine, because I could have just not depended on him if I just had savings, and I didn't have no savings. So that is very important for you to have separate from your, or I'm not saying like don't have a same account with your spouse if you're married, but always have savings of your own stashed up somewhere. I don't know how you figure it out, but I'm just saying. And my dad taught me this too. Like he said, always have your savings, always have your own career, your own money, because you can get married today, you can get married with somebody, anybody, in 6 months, in a year, but the day that man decides to leave you, what do you have for yourself? What do you have to survive and keep living your life? You need savings. You need to save money, because that was one of my fears. I didn't have a full-time job and I didn't have no savings, and so like I was like, okay, so I'm not gonna go live with no family member, and I'm not gonna go to the shelter. I did that before. Stayed in a shelter for like a few days, years and years ago, in this toxic relationship I was in, but that's a whole nother story. And I didn't want to do all that again, so I preferred to stay in the bad relationship rather than struggle and whatnot. So, and eventually I saved money, and that wasn't one of the reasons why I stuck around, but it took me years though. It was years before I figured that one out. But that was one of the reasons why I stayed in that relationship for so long without having to, if I just had money of my own, you know. Then the next reason is that I was afraid, I was in fear of being alone. I did not want to be alone. I just didn't want to be alone. I was so used to being with him, even though he treated me so bad and made me feel so bad in many ways, that I think I was numb. There was a point in my relationship that I didn't even care that I was treated like that. Or not even that I didn't even care, I just didn't see it as a big issue. Like I was so accustomed to it, I was so in denial, that I just put up with the treatment. And it was never, well, I'm not gonna say never, but it was mostly emotional abuse, you know. I'm gonna talk more about that in a minute. The third reason is that I did not want to go through the grieving process. Basically, when you're in a relationship and when you break up, it hurts. I think we've been there more than once. Having a heartbreak, it hurts. Especially the longer you are with somebody, the longer it's gonna hurt. And I wasn't ready for that. I was not ready to go through that pain, because in my mind, I know I was gonna feel like losing somebody for real. Like if somebody died, and I've been through deaths in my family, and it hurts so much. And so having to break up with this person meant that I had to go through like a grieving process, a loss, an emotional pain, something that I did not want to go through, because I was afraid of being alone. I was afraid of being lonely and going through the whole process, plus being alone. No matter what any of my friends or family said for encouragement, it's still there. The pain is still there, and the emptiness was still there. Now I go back to the whole feeling lonely. So, and I'm still alone to this day. I'm still single. I broke up, whatever, in this relationship. And right now I'm single, and I've been single for so long. And the reason why I was so lonely back then versus now I'm still lonely, but I don't feel that emptiness or that fear, is because I have God in my life. Now, this might sound cheesy, or if you don't get it, I'm gonna explain a little bit to you so you get it a little bit. Basically getting saved by a powerful person that's out of this world is like no other. It's not an energy, it's a person. It's not a thing, it's a person. So God, having God in my life now versus back then when I didn't have God in my life, I feel like that was the what I was missing of the lonely part. Like, if I had to have God back then when I was in a bad relationship, and now I would have been not having that fear of being lonely. That would have not been a reason, is what I'm trying to say, about the bad relationship, of why it took me so long and why I put up with the bad relationship. It wouldn't have been a reason. Now, the financial, that was my own fault. Every woman out there should have savings. I don't care how perfect your marriage, your relationship is going. Never doubt that anything can happen at any given moment, whether it is that your spouse or your loved one dies, or the relationship itself, the love dies. But then again, if the love dies, it's because there was a sin involved, because love doesn't die unless it's killed by sin. So having a savings would have, like I said, would have X'd that out, and that wouldn't have been a reason. Having God in my life would have X'd the second reason out, and that wouldn't have been a reason of why I stuck so long. Or I could have stuck forever and not would have to go through a painful separation. But then again, I'm not revealing a lot about what went wrong. I'm trying to keep it as neutral as possible, but it was really heavy, and it still is. I don't even want to talk about it really, because it's that heavy. But the third reason, the grieving process, that was probably the one that I feel like, even with God in my life, I was still going to go through, knowing myself the way I am. I know that emotional pain, that was going to be really heavy and something I did not want to face, whether I had God with me or not. Or he was always with me, but I didn't care or nothing about God. I didn't really care about God. Honestly, I didn't really think about God. But that's besides the point, what I'm trying to make right now. But the grieving process was the hardest part of the three. Because if you know what to do, like you know what to do now. For example, I'm giving you these 3 reasons why I stayed for so long. Now you know that you need to have savings. You need to have a backup plan, which includes having money. You need to have God in your life, because he's the one that's going to comfort you when you do decide to make the move and break up the relationship. Because it's not easy, especially when you're dealing with somebody that is into themselves, and all they want to do, and what they do is manipulate you and I hate this word so much, but gaslighting, yeah. Hey, Bobby. Nobody can tell you what to do. That's up to you. You decide. But my advice is that you consult God and pray and meditate on what it is that God is revealing to you for you to do the right thing. What is the right thing for you to do? What is it that your heart and your mind is telling you? Because don't let your emotions overtake the facts. Like, I let my emotions overtake the facts that I was in a really bad relationship, that I couldn't change the person. Only God could do that. And when the person doesn't have faith, or there's nothing about him that tells you they're gonna change, and you've tried and you pour your sweat and tears into the relationship and it's still not working out, you pray and God tells you whatever it is he tells you, do what you got to do. But if you're getting told to end the relationship, some of the things that are going to keep you strong are the power of prayer. It sounds like my memory is full. I better get to the point because I need to edit this. But my advice is that you get with God, consult God, and he will reveal to you what to do. Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. It took me years and years and years and years to learn this, but I'm just telling you that is the way to go, is to ask God and pray, because that's how you're going to communicate with God, by prayer. Also have a savings account, have emotional support from God and your closest friend and family. You need support. But if you don't have nobody, guess who you do have always is God. So that's what I'm saying. Prayer, talk to God, consult with God. He's going to reveal what you need to do and what you don't need to do, because eventually if this person is toxic enough and you know that they did A, B, and C, and that in the Bible it says that you shouldn't be putting up with those things, then you shouldn't be putting up with those things, and you're in your right to break up the relationship and not have to drag it along for many, 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 many years without having to. Now, the reason I dragged my relationship for many, many, many years was because, like I said, I didn't even have God in my life. I didn't believe in him. I didn't care about him. I didn't have him in my life. So mistake number 1, 2, not having no money of my own, and 3, we go back to 1, the one about God. Not having God would eliminate the fear of being lonely, because you're not alone. God is always with you. And also it would eliminate the grieving process. It wouldn't eliminate that. That's a part of us as humans. Like, shoot, even Jesus cried when his friend died. But it would make it so much easier. God makes things so much easier. Like, it's like you don't have to worry. Just like, it's like when you go swimming, and once you learn how to swim, let's suppose you don't know how to swim and you're in panic mode. I don't know how to swim, I'm drowning. Versus when you do know how to swim and you just float like a starfish, and you're just like looking up at the sky, and you're just enjoying the time wherever you're at. Let's suppose you're in a pool, you're just floating and everything's so good, and you're relaxed, you're floating, you're good because you know you can swim and nothing's gonna bother you at the moment. That's how having God in your life is. That's how having God on your team, or having God in your team, that's how it feels. It feels like you don't have to worry. Like, there's no worries, because no matter what's gonna happen in that water, no matter what is gonna happen in your life, you always have backup and the comfort and peace of God. And it sounds so easy to say. I know it sounds so easy, but I know that this is better you would know what I mean when you do start having a relationship with God, because it's just, he's going to change you and you're not going to doubt whatever it is I'm saying. What I'm trying to explain, that I'm doing such a bad job at it, I don't know, but you'll get it once you start a relationship with God. And about the bad relationship, don't worry, it's going to happen. Good things are coming your way. Once you end the relationship, that's when your real goodness starts. And yeah, it's going to be a roller coaster, because that's what life is. You got out of the bad relationship, anything can happen, that things go bad, wrong, right? Who cares? The thing is that you knocked out that one obstacle, and bring it on. Say, bring it on, life. What else do you have coming my way? Because I got this. Because now I have God in my life, and things are going to go so much smoother. Whether I have a place to sleep on, whether I have food to eat, whether I have, I don't know, millions of dollars in my bank, it doesn't matter, because you can still have losses. Loved ones die all the time. And anything can happen in this world, and everything is just so much easier when God is in your life. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, I went from one subject to the other, I feel like, but it all comes together. So that was that. Anyhow, my doggy, I think he wants to go potty. Let's go potty. That's all I got for today, guys. I hope you get it, and I'm sorry if I don't explain myself so well. I'm trying. But take care, God bless you, and I'll be back in the next video in a few days. Bye.